Hey guys, Joe here with Lights On for Safety. Now, it's been getting pretty cold around here, and I've noticed that my heater in this whole thing is not doing as well as it should be. On high, I'm getting kind of lukewarm air or maybe slightly warmer than that, but on medium, my fan's blowing pretty hot air. Now that to me tells me that my heater core is plugged or I don't have good coolant flow in my coolant system in general. My coolant level is good, so I can only assume that my heater core is not. So today I'm going to be pulling the old one out and replacing it with a new one that I got from my local parts store for only $30, and I'm going to take you through that procedure now. Alright guys, the first thing that we have to do is get the glove box out of here. Now the glove box is held in by 4 screws that are at the bottom, unless of course your truck's been taken apart too many times like mine and not all the screws have been put back in place. Mine uses 1/4-inch screw heads, but I know sometime in the late 70s or early 80s they switched to 7mm. Once those screws are out, I can remove the glove box and get it out of the way. Alright guys, once we get the glove box out of there, there are screws that hold these cables in place back here. Those are also 1/4-inch and need to be taken off. And then where the cable's actually attached to the arm is right here, and you've got to use a pair of pliers or something to get the retaining clip that's on there off of there. This one I've already worked off with a pair of pliers. As you can see, it just slides over and uses a friction fit to stay in place. So this is what you're working with. Okay, once these are free and out of there, we can turn our attention to the left. As you can see, we've got one more of those cables hooked up right down there. Same procedure to get that off. And then we also have a bolt there that we've got to undo, which is 5/16. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and take this 5/16 screw out of here to get the box disconnected from the defroster vent. This is where a electric ratchet would probably be a good idea if we had one. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is come right down here and remove that guy, because he's got to come out of there. Same 1/4-inch to get that retaining screw off, and then same clip to remove the cable. Okay, the last fastener that I have to worry about inside the cab is going to be the 7/16 bolt right there in that corner that holds the box up against the firewall. So I'm going to go ahead and zip that off pretty quick. And we've got 3 more of those to worry about that are going to be on the inside. Alright guys, turning our focus inside the engine bay, what I'm going to need to do is remove the bolts that hold the housing up against the firewall. I've got a 7/16 nut right here, as well as one right there, and another one up here. Once I zip those off, it's just a matter of getting these lines off here, which I've already clamped, and I can remove the box from the inside. One thing about these nuts is that they are not a traditional nut. Instead, they're just made out of sheet metal, so you need to be very careful when you remove them that you don't also destroy them. Well, it looks like 44 years of grime and nastiness has kind of stuck this in place. So it's going to require a little bit of persuasion to actually get it off. But I'm going to go ahead and remove my heater core lines. Another thing I'm going to do is remove the clips here. That way, once I pull my heater core lines off, I can lift them up so that I don't lose anything out of my engine block. Now, it may require a little bit of work to actually get this thing out. It's been in here for 44 years, and I'm sure it's not really wanting to move. Unfortunately, the same amount of force required to remove it is probably going to be what's needed to break stuff. So I just need to be really careful that I'm applying even pressure and making sure if anything's hung up, I know what exactly is going on. So I just had something kind of break free. Alright guys, so here's the box as I pulled it out. I'm going to go ahead and come around here and take a look at the heater core and how to remove that. I've got a door here which gives me access to, looks like a couple small screws down there in the corner, which you can't really see. That one's a little bit more visible right there. And likewise, I'm sure there's one hidden down there. There it is. So probably a couple 1/4-inch screws and we'll get those pulled out. I've got my new heater core set into place, and I discovered a little bit of a problem. As you can see, there's a little bit of a gap down there, as well as on this side where air can flow around the heater core instead of going through it, which means cold air getting into my cab instead of hot air. Looking a little bit closer, you can see that the outside dimension of these two heater cores are pretty similar, with the tab that's on the top and bottom. However, the core itself is much too small. So I think I'm going to go ahead and clean out my old heater core and just reinstall it and see if that will get rid of the low heat exchange condition that I have going. Alright guys, buttoning everything back up is basically the exact same as taking it apart. It's a little bit challenging getting the box to go back in place since the outlet for the heater core is not in line with the stud, so you got to work on it a little bit, but eventually you'll get it back in there. I did decide to go ahead and use my new heater core instead of the old one because I wasn't able to get the old one super well cleaned out. And while I'm not impressed with the fit of the new one, I do think that it'll work a lot better than my old one did. So I'll go ahead and just run it and see how it does. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully you've got a square body like me that you love wrenching on, because if you've got a square body, you're probably wrenching on it a lot to keep it going. So anyhow, there you go guys. I hope you enjoyed.